So what do we have here? This is a Sig Sauer pistol, one I've been looking for a while. This is the Sig 227 in 45 ACP, Beretta 9mm USA here. I don't like the traditional unboxing videos, so I'm just going to get the pistol out with its extra magazine. Got some other pistols on the table. Everything has been safety checked, guys. We do that off camera before we start rolling. So here's what it looks like. It does look very similar to like a 226 of whatever variety. This has got the E2 square grip on it. Really great grip. Nice grip. This version is Nitron covered and has the Sig night sights on it. This pistol, unlike the other full-size Sigs that I have, does not have the SRT trigger. It has the traditional Sig trigger, which is still pretty excellent. Haven't shot it yet officially, but just pulling the trigger a little bit at the house, the trigger is still really good, so I'm pretty happy with that. These Sig 227s are pretty hard to find in our area here. I imagine that's probably the case in a lot of the country right now. It's a relatively new handgun. It's very close to the same size as the 226, but you can tell the circumference of the grip is a little larger than the normal 226s for sure. That's the first thing I noticed, is that it does have a little bit of a beefier grip, if you will, but it's not bad at all. Not too bad at all for a grip on this new Sig pistol. 45 ACP, 10 rounds in the magazine. Magazine looks to be a Metgar type magazine. It does say made in Italy on it. Don't know if you'll be able to pick that up on the camera or not, but it does say made in Italy on it. And they are 10 rounders, and Sig sends you 2 of them, so not bad. That means I only have to add about 4 more. All right, so it fires 45 ACP. I wanted to get out my other favorite 45 ACP pistols to kind of make a quick comparison to. The one right in front of me is my XD 45. It's been in my collection for about 10 years, same as my 1911 that I'm going to show you guys. A little bit more weight here with the Sig pistol over the XD 45. 13 rounds in the magazine with this. I think this is probably one of my favorite less expensive 45s. I think they're still in the neighborhood of around $550, somewhere like that. This is the bitone with the flat dark earth finish, and comparing it to the Sig 227. So they're even there, they're about even in the back, and you can see overall dimensions about how much bigger the Sig is than the XT45. So we're not talking about a lot here, and we're not talking about a lot as far as weight is concerned either. Yes, you do give up a couple of rounds, but you XT fans will know, you know, these pistols are great shooters in their own right, and the Sig is right there about the same size, just a couple less rounds. So that's the XT45. Still a lot of 1911 levers out there. This is my Smith & Wesson 1911. When Smith first started coming out and making the 1911 pistols, they got together with Wilson Combat, and there's several Wilson Combat parts on this pistol. The hammer, the trigger, the safety, and I can't remember what else was all on it. It's got some nice serrations on it, front and back, and it's got cocking serrations in the front and also on the back. So full-size 1911. We know that the 1911s are heavier, right? That gives you a little look at maybe what the size difference is on the 2 pistols.
It's definitely thinner.
The 1911?
Yeah.
Yeah. The 1911 is quite a bit thinner, but the 5-inch barrel compared to the shorter barrel for the Sig will give you a little idea what that's like. Here's the grip difference. You got your 7 or 8 round magazine in a 1911 compared to the 10 round mag. So it's 10 plus 1 with the Sig. To me, yeah, it is a little bit wider, but I think it's worth it to have the extra rounds. And I like 1911s, but to me they're a little bit more finicky than the Sig pistols. I don't think there'll be a lot of argument with that fact. I pretty much think that's a fact, that the Sigs tend to function a little bit better than your traditional 1911. So this, talking about money, and I know you guys like to know, so this Sig 227 we got for $930. And it's a Nitron finish, one full size with the night sight. So that's about, you know, it's not a bare bones one, but it's not a real fancy SAS 227 or anything like that. I have not been able to see one yet. And this is only the second 227 we've seen in person in the case, period.
But you want an SAS. Probably right.
I'm going to shoot this one. I want to test this one and see what it's all about and make sure that I like it as much as I think I'm going to like it. If I really dig this pistol, then I am thinking about adding the 227 SAS down the road. The SAS, for those of you that don't know, it's going to be a little bit shorter here and maybe an inch, right? About an inch shorter.
Yeah.
And it's going to have the SRT trigger on it, and all the edges are a little bit more rounded.
It's dehorned all the way around.
Dehorned.
It doesn't have a rail either. So it's like the M11A1 and 45 auto.
Made more for carry. And so if I really dig this one, I'm gonna start looking for the SAS, but it seems to be like, you know, trying to find a unicorn or whatever around here. So I haven't seen one yet. I am looking forward to seeing one, and I'm hoping when I do see one in person that I'll have the funds available to pick it up if I really like this pistol. We're looking forward to shooting this. I don't really care to shoot indoors. I'd rather shoot outdoors where we have more control of what we're doing and not so many shooters all around us where there's guns going off everywhere and not being able to talk about the gun or show the guns the way I'd like to show them. Really looking forward to shooting it. It does feel really good in the hand. It points really fast. There's a snap cap in this one right now. The decocker is really positive. Let me do that for you one more time. I really like that about my 226s too, and this 227 has the same thing. I'll let you listen. And that really sounds good. I don't know, to me it screams quality. The pistol overall is just really well made, and I don't see any flaws with it at all. Can you catch the front serrations on this? I mean, it's pretty massive, and the sticker's in the way a little bit, but I don't know if you can see that well or not.
Yeah.
But that's right into the metal of the handle and stuff, so just really cool. Some serrations up here on the squared trigger guard. So here's a trigger guard right here, and there's some serrations up here, which is pretty cool. I don't traditionally put my finger up there, but I know some people do, and they may like that fact. Like you were saying before, this one will take lights and everything else. So this is more the combat or home defense pistol. For those of you that really dig SIGs or want a 45 ACP, but they want something that maybe it's a little bit different than everyone else has, the 227s are fairly fresh on the market, and my 226s and my M11 have been just flawless. So I'm hoping this pistol will be the same way, and if it's not, we will let you know. There's no question about that. Young Beretta, got a couple more things out to kind of gander at while we're talking about the SIG, and this is his Glock 17
Gen 4.
Gen 4. You don't have the long wolf barrel in here.
Yeah, I put the stock barrel back on.
Okay, stock barrel's back on it. This is his new pistol, and he is really looking forward to shooting that. And that is the Glock 30 Gen 4. And it's what, 10 rounds of 45 ACP?
Yeah.
It's got the Glock night sights on it, guys. They are very bright night sights with the Glock name on them.
They have a meprolite tritium insert. Show the thickness of the barrels compared the Glock barrel and the SIG barrel.
Okay. That's a snap cap, guys. 45 ACP snap cap was in the SIG because I was practicing with the trigger. Let's see how this comes out. We got all the lights on in here in the house, so hopefully you can see that okay. I like them to be a little bit thicker. The SIGs is a little thinner, I think, than the Glock 30s right there, but I didn't think it was too bad. So, yeah. And you've already got the aftermarket stainless steel guide rod in there, is that right?
Yeah.
So you've got the stainless steel guide rod in the Glock 30. And I haven't touched anything on the SIG yet, guys. It's bone stock. So we're going to take it out that way and shoot it that way. Anyway, just in case you wanted to take a look at some other guns while you're looking at the SIG 227.
Show the Storm Lake barrel on the XT45 too.
Okay.
And that's an aftermarket match grade barrel.
So it shows right here the Storm Lake symbol on it. XT Springfield Armory. These 45s, there's only so much room for the barrel inside the pistol well itself, so you're going to find that the thickness on them is a little thinner compared to the thickness on the barrels of, you know, the 9mm and the 40s, of course. It's reliability, guys. I mean, if you want to step up to the 45 ACP round, it has to be a reliable pistol. And I've been doing a lot of reading about people that are a little unhappy with their 1911, and, you know, if you want something that's going to be just accurate and reliable all the time, I'm hoping that's what this will be. And if it's not, we will definitely put it in there. I mean, I understand the love for the 1911 and everything, but as far as a carry gun or anything like that, most guys don't carry the full-size 1911. Though I was talking to the old 1911, and he was saying that he's met a couple even law enforcement officers that are allowed to carry full-size 1911. So there is some of that out there that's still carrying these 1911s full-size. But again, you know, if you got an 8-round mag and you got one in a pipe, now you're at 9. And if you're going to go with a 1911, I find that these Wilson Combat mags are pretty good. So if you're going to go 1911, this is an 8-rounder here. HSM ammo for 45 ACP seems to be a very reliable ammo for my 1911s. I still have one Kimber, just in case you were wondering. My Smith & Wesson 1911, which I have on video a couple times. I still have both of those. Like I said, my 1911s even have been a little bit more finicky than others, like my XD45 here, and my Glock 21, which I didn't get out for this. But anyway, if you have a pistol that's a little bit finicky, maybe try this HSM ammo. Somebody that left a question for me about his Beretta PX4 Storm 45, and he said that he was having some feeding and reliability problems with that. And I answered him back and said, try a couple different types of ammo before you give up on the pistol or send it back to the factory. It might just be a little finicky. Asked him how new it was. He didn't give me a lot of information, but if it was new and it was still giving you problems, to send it back to the factory and see if they can fix it. I mean, I've always recommended that if the pistol's not reliable or it has any kind of issues at all, you probably shouldn't have it as your carry weapon. I hold fast to that idea for sure. We have a decocker, isn't that great? So you wanted to show what size of the Glock 17 compared to. Look at that. So there's a full-size Glock 17 from end to end, almost identical in size. Of course, the Sig is a little bit thicker than the Glock 17, but a lot of people would think that the 45 pistol would be a lot bigger. Up on the top, it's really not. As you look at the handles and stuff, you can tell that the 45 ACP Sig is a little bit thicker than the Glock. But is it a ton? I don't think it's a ton, but it is thicker. And that's kind of where this, to me, when I was watching videos, where the Sig does look a little bit thicker in the mag area.
Definitely.
Yeah, in the mag area, because when you look at it at the handles, it just doesn't seem as big, and that may be that E-squared grip kind of cutting down the thickness look, a little bit of it. But when it comes to throwing the mags in, and again, this is a 17.
9mm.
9mm, and if you're going to compare the 45, here's a Glock 30, which would be very similar to the thickness of the mag well of a Glock 21. A little bit closer there, right guys? A little bit?
Yeah. Compare the thickness of the grip.
Again, I think your Glock is a little bit thinner.
Yeah,
slightly. Even in 45 ACP. I didn't get the Glock 21 out. Sorry about that, guys. I did notice that when I was comparing them myself against the full-size Glock 21, if this gun is very comparable and even a little bit smaller in some regards. And I think length it was a little bit smaller too. So if you're thinking about a Glock 21 and you're thinking that it might be the same size, the 227 is a little bit smaller.
We're probably going to do a shooting video of the Glock 21 Gen 4 versus this. What do you think?
I think that would be a great comparison. Let me get a little bit of range time with this 227 so I can try to, just get to know the pistol a little bit before we start shooting them against that 21, because that 21 is a beast for me. I just really like it. It's a great Glock, and it's been 100% reliable also. So I think that's it. Anything else you wanted to cover, young Beretta, like while we have them out?
Sig Sauer is going to be coming out with some 14-round extended magazines for the 227s. If you want to throw an extended magazine in, they're coming out with the 14-rounders.
Me, myself, personally, I think if I've got 10 here plus 1 here, I've got 11 rounds. Carry an extra magazine in my pocket somewhere, so you've got some backup rounds and stuff. I'm not so crazy about the idea of having it stick out to here, because I think it is going to stick out quite a ways, guys.
Yeah.
And if it sticks out that far, that's fine, I guess, if it's a gun by your bedside, okay. But if you're thinking about toting this thing around, I think you just want to, stay with the 10-round mag. See how the E-squared grip is a little beveled there for easy loading?
Yeah.
What was that?
So what about carrying the 14-rounder as your backup magazine instead of a 10-rounder?
Yeah, I think that would be okay if you didn't mind the extra size in your pocket. I mean, the thing about this magazine here is it's really no bigger than hardly any other magazine. I mean, it's a little bit thicker than some magazines, but it's not a heck of a lot bigger than if you were carrying either an extra 13 round XD45 mag.
You can tell the XD45 magazine's a little thicker though.
Yeah,
definitely.
it is. I think it makes room for those extra couple of rounds. But if you're carrying that as a backup mag or carrying a Glock 17 mag as a backup mag, see what I'm saying, guys? Look at that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any bigger. Okay, you got 17 rounds or whatever of 9mm here. You got 10 rounds of 45. So if you're going to stuff one of them in your pocket as a backup magazine, I don't think you're hurting yourself if you're carrying a 45. Then it gets into the Glock. What's your Glock 30?
Yeah.
So look at that. Yeah, it's smaller, but it's still pretty wide.
Yeah, it's
and
thicker, definitely.
It's what, 80% of the size of the magazine of the 227. So just something to consider. Hey, can I carry this? If I carry extra rounds, how much space or room is that going to take? That gives you something to consider. I'm sure there was more stuff we wanted to cover, but we wanted to get this video done and get it out there. I don't like the traditional unboxing videos. I'd rather show you multiple things to be able to look at, and I kind of like looking at them myself and sharing them. But you guys get a look at some of my collection. And we hope to take the Sig 227 out in the next 10 or 14 days. And we'll be shooting that. We'll be shooting this Glock 30 and a couple other things that were new. Your Walther PPQ and 40 caliber.
Yeah.
I know you're looking forward to shooting that. So it should be a fun range day, probably 8 hours at the range. Until then, guys, take care. Thanks for watching. Thanks to all the subscribers out there. See ya.